Good morning and welcome to Face the Nation. I'm John Dickerson. President-elect Trump met yesterday with former presidential candidate Mitt Romney, a possible candidate for the job of Secretary of State. The two appear to have moved past Romney's tough criticism during the campaign. Mr. Trump also met with former CENTCOM commander James Mattis, who is a candidate for the job of Secretary of Defense.
All I can say is he is the real deal. He is the real deal.
We're joined now by the head of the transition team and Vice President-elect Mike Pence. Mr. Vice President-elect, I want to start. Are there going to be any announcements today on staffing?
I think that's yet to be seen, John, and good to be with you this morning. We're here at Trump National after a brisk day yesterday, but I have to tell you, to be able to have the opportunity to help lead this transition effort, to be sitting shoulder to shoulder with our President-elect as he's talking to men and women of extraordinary backgrounds and capabilities about putting this administration together, building the agenda, being there when he's talking to leaders around the world has been deeply inspiring. And I think every American would be inspired by the leadership that our President-elect has shown from literally hours after this election was called.
And Mitt Romney as a possible Secretary of State, is that right?
That's absolutely right, John. And I know the President-elect was very grateful that Governor Mitt Romney came here to New Jersey yesterday. We spent the better part of an hour together with him, and then I know that the two of them actually had some private time together. I would tell you that it was not only a cordial meeting, but also it was a very substantive meeting, and I can say that Governor Romney is under active and serious consideration to serve as Secretary of State of the United States.
Let me ask you about some work you've done in the transition since taking it over. You've moved out some lobbyists, and in keeping with that, Donald Trump told me a couple of months ago that he would have no problem with having no lobbyists and no major donors in his administration at all. Do you think he'll be able to keep that promise?
Well, I think the American people want to see a change in Washington, D.C. There's been heartbreak and disappointment when it's over recent years and frankly successive administrations where we've seemed to see an inability for Washington, D.C. to get anything done, and the President-elect is absolutely determined to build an administration with women and men who bring that fresh perspective and a determination on doing the people's business and not the business of special interest. And so as you know, we made changes as soon as I took over the transition effort. We made changes. We moved lobbyists out of the transition team, and that's going to continue to be a lodestar. And I can tell your viewers that the President-elect is determined to move ethics reform in the next year in the Congress of the United States. A lot of people around the country want to see us drain the swamp. They want to see fundamental ethics reform. That's going to happen starting January the 20th.
So just to button that up, so no lobbyists or donors in the administration as he promised, that's right?
Well, I think what the President-elect has made clear is that we're going to have people in the administration who are 100% focused on serving the American people and moving the Trump agenda forward. And to sit with him in these interviews that have been taking place over the last week, to sit with him with congressional leaders, as the two of us did a week ago, is to see someone who's completely focused on keeping the promises that he made to the American people. And I got to tell you, it's really been inspiring to be standing shoulder to shoulder with our President-elect even in these few short days since that historic election.
But that doesn't quite sound like a yes to me. So it seems like there's some wiggle room on the no lobbyists and donors. So we'll look for some clarity on that to come. But let me ask you about this question. The Wall Street Journal has asked that Mr. Trump liquidate his holdings with his business. Will he?
Well, I saw that editorial. What I can tell you is that I'm very confident that the President-elect and his extraordinary talented family are going to work with the best legal minds in this country and create the proper separation from their business enterprise during his duties as President of the United States. To be around him is to be around a man who is completely focused on the people's business. And to get to know his children is to get to know men and women of extraordinary capability who I know he's confident they can lead the business enterprise while he puts all of his energies, all of his focus in the people's business.
Should employees of the Trump businesses be involved at all in the people's business, in government business, meetings?
Well, I think during this transition, it's very helpful.
How about during the presidency?
For the president-elect to. Oh, well, I think during the presidency there will be the proper separation. I can just assure you, all of your viewers that to be around President-elect Donald Trump now is to be around someone who, while he has built literally one of the most prosperous businesses in the country. He's a man who is spending all of his energies and all of his focus on that agenda that he campaigned on. And it's about bringing personnel together. We'll have more extraordinary men and women here in New Jersey today who are under consideration for positions of enormous import. But it's also about laying out the policies that we're going to start on day one in this Congress to implement. And the president-elect has already made the decision, and in conversations with Republican leaders in the House and Senate, that we're going to lift the extraordinary burden of Obamacare off the backs of the American people and off the backs of American businesses. Repealing Obamacare will be the first priority in a session that will be characterized by tax reform, rebuilding the military, infrastructure,
Mr. Vice President, I guess
ending illegal immigration, and that's where we're focused.
Here's the question for a candidate who worked so hard and made such a strong point and was so about draining the swamp, about the Washington culture of self-dealing. You'd expect brighter lines in terms of the private business and the presidency. If a foreign country, for example, does business with the Trump industries, would we expect to see that notified, a notification of that? Because you could imagine somebody trying to do business with the Trump family as a way of getting in good with the Trump president.
John, what I can assure you and all of your viewers is that all of the laws pertaining to his business dealings and his service as President of the United States will be strictly adhered to. And he set that tone from the very beginning. But the other part is just, I'm very confident that we will operate an administration that is above reproach with regard to all of those issues. But, one of the reasons why I believe Donald Trump won a mandate for leadership is because he wasn't a career politician. He spent an entire lifetime as a builder, creating jobs, building a business enterprise. And the American people said yes to bringing a builder and a business leader into the White House. We'll create the proper legal separation above reproach as he goes forward. And I promise you, President-elect Donald Trump is today, and President Donald Trump after January 20th is going to be completely focused on the people's business, and he'll leave his business life in the past.
Let me ask you a policy question. Senator John McCain is worried about waterboarding. The Kansas Congressman Mike Pompeo, who's going to be going to the CIA, supports Mr. Trump's position that perhaps waterboarding should come back. Let's listen to what Senator McCain said.
I don't give a damn what the President of the United States wants to do or anybody else wants to do. We will not waterboard. We will not torture. But my God, what does it say about America if we're going to inflict torture on people?
What's your response to that?
Well, I have great respect for Senator McCain, and what I can tell you is that going forward, as he outlined in that famous speech in Ohio, that a President Donald Trump is going to focus on confronting and defeating radical Islamic terrorism as a threat to this country. And we're going to have a president again who will never say what we'll never do. I think in President-elect Donald Trump, you have someone who believes that we shouldn't be telling the enemy what our tactics or our strategies are. And I know that in conversations with some leading Americans about playing roles in our administration, we're very excited about Congressman Pompeo's role at the CIA. We're very excited to see General Mike Flynn stepping into his leadership position. The team that we assemble, the President-elect assembles at the Department of Defense, will all advise him. But the American people should know that this is a president who on day one, January 20th, is going to focus on defeating and destroying ISIS at its source and confronting radical Islamic terrorism so it can no longer threaten our people or inspire violence here in the homeland.
At the moment, though, waterboarding is something the United States government does not do. So the enemy already knows that waterboarding is not something the United States does. Is it going to be reassessed by the Trump administration?
Well, I think the president-elect made his views on that quite clear during the course of the campaign, but as we go forward, what I can tell you is it's not going to be about a specific tactic. What I see in these meetings with the president-elect and candidates for our national security and our national defense is someone who is determined to surround himself with men and women of extraordinary background and capability. We've got real challenges around the world today, John, and the American people should know that President-elect Donald Trump is going to surround himself with men and women who are going to ensure our national defense. We're going to rebuild our military, but this is going to be a president that is going to be determined to destroy ISIS and to confront radical Islamic terrorism so it can no longer threaten our people here at home.
Finally, Mr. Vice President-elect, you went to see Hamilton. The actors sent a message to you at the end of the show, and part of it was, "We are the diverse America who are alarmed and anxious that your new administration will not protect us." Why do you think they're alarmed and anxious?
Well, first off, I took my daughter and her cousins to the show Friday night, and John, if you haven't seen it yet, it's a great show. I'm a history buff, and my hat's off to the cast and to the extraordinary team that brought Hamilton to the public. We really enjoyed being there, and yeah, I heard the remarks that were made at the end, and what I can tell you is I wasn't offended by what was said. I'll leave to others whether it was the appropriate venue to say it. But I want to assure people who were disappointed in the election results, people who are feeling anxious about this time in the life of our nation, that President-elect Donald Trump meant exactly what he said on election night, that he is going to be the president of all the people of the United States of America. And to see this man who's bringing this energy and this leadership to the process of assembling this team and laying out an agenda to revive our country and strengthen America at home and abroad, is to see someone who is not only a great mind but a great heart. He's got a heart for the American people, and I just want to reassure anyone, including the actor who spoke that night, that President-elect Donald Trump is going to be president of all the people, and I couldn't be more honored to stand with him.
All right. Vice President-elect Mike Pence will leave it there, and we'll be back in a moment.